Good morning. Happy Thursday, guys. I am currently en route to an inspection on this particular property. I represent the buyer only. Remember, I told you, and I'll say it again, if you are thinking about buying, you need a pre-approval letter so you know what your budget is and you know what loan type you have. And then
turn left onto Louisiana 1120.
You are pre-approved. The realtor who you have chosen to represent you can show you any house, anywhere they're willing to drive. Just keep that in mind. I did not know that until I became a realtor, but the smartest thing to do is choose a realtor who you know, like, and trust. Someone that you know closes lots and lots and lots of deals. Someone you trust to do all the negotiations for you and handle all the drama and all the paperwork and all the things. Someone that you absolutely admire and trust as a realtor. Not your nanny, not your neighbor, not your friend. This is business. This could potentially save you hundreds upon thousands of dollars if you choose a realtor who doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about inspections versus appraisals. And this is something that I didn't know. I had no idea about until we got into real estate. And so this is the first misconception that people have. The first misconception that people have, I find a lot of the times, especially when it's a for sale by owner, if you're purchasing a home from a friend or a neighbor or someone you heard and it's not listed with the realtor, lots of buyers have said this to me months or years after they've purchased the home. We bought the home, we moved into it, we found all these things wrong with it, and when I say to them, well, did you have it inspected? And they say, no, I didn't know we were supposed to, or I didn't know we could, or I didn't know, or I didn't know. Listen, whether you're buying a home that's listed by a realtor or you're buying a home listed for sale by owner, you absolutely 100% of the time want to have an inspection. Why? Because every single house has things wrong with it. There's no such thing as a perfect house. I don't care if it was built 2 days ago or if it was built 200 years ago. Every single home is going to have something wrong with it. There's no such thing as a perfect house. How many people have you heard say, we just built a house, we moved in, we were in for a few weeks and realized this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong? Listen, houses are built so fast nowadays. There are going to be issues. Homes that were built years and years ago, they're not up to code. Things are broken, things are worn out, right? So absolutely, whether you're buying a home that's listed with a realtor or you're buying a home that's for sale by owner, you absolutely want to have an inspection done. And so part of your contract, there should be a line item that mentions inspection period and due diligence. Your due diligence period, part of your contract, whether it's a for sale by owner contract, whether the attorney drew up the contract for you, whether it's a real estate contract, whatever that contract is, there will be some lines in that contract that say you have the right to have what's called due diligence or inspection period. It's one and the same. During that due diligence period, you have the right to cancel that contract for any reason, no questions asked, and get your deposit back. So let's say it's a for sale by owner. You put down $2,000 deposit, but part of your contract says from the day it went under contract, you have 14 days of due diligence. That means during that 14 days, you have the right to cancel that contract, no questions asked, and get your deposit back. And you do not have to have a reason. All right? Now, normally what happens is if you're being represented by a realtor, I'm on my way to an inspection right now. We typed up a contract. It got accepted yesterday, which means her due diligence period, I think we put 12 days, begins today. And so today, we're having it formally inspected by a formal trained inspector that is going to check out that house from roof to floor and every single thing in between, the plumbing, the electrical, the foundation, the HVAC system, every single thing. And listen, his job is to find things wrong with the house. There's no such thing as a perfect house. He's going to have a list of things that are wrong with this house. And then he's going to, at the end of his inspection, he's going to present the major items to the buyer. If there's something so phenomenally wrong with the house that she says, look, this is something I had no idea was an issue. I do not want to buy this house anymore. I'm canceling her contract. She's getting her deposit back, and we're going to find her another house. And that's exactly what happens. Now, 99% of the time, people don't cancel contracts. I mean, there would have to be something just ridiculously wrong. Like, this house would have to be sinking into the ground. The foundation's irreparable. Something just crazy wrong. Because, listen, every single thing is repairable. Everything. If there's something wrong with the air conditioner, it can be fixed. If there's something wrong with the plumbing, it can be fixed. If there's something wrong with the electrical, it can be fixed. There's no such thing as a perfect house, but 99% of items can be fixed, repaired, changed out, whatever the case may be. She can ask for a price reduction. Let's say there's 10 major things wrong with the house, or there's 10 minor things wrong with the house. Then she can say, look, I had no idea these things are wrong with the house. I feel like my original offer was too much. I can then ask for a price reduction for her. So those are all the scenarios. But the main reason you want to have an inspection done is because you want to know what you're getting into. So let's say you say, look, it's a good friend of mine. They're giving me a great deal on this house. I'm buying the house regardless. That's okay. If you know, no matter what comes out wrong in the inspection, you're still buying it, it doesn't matter. The inspection's going to cost you maybe $500, $600, $700, but you will know every single thing wrong with that house moving forward. That way you can either fix those items before, or when you move in later, you can fix them, but you're not moving in blindly. And as you move in and you move in and you start living in the house, then you realize, oh, the HVAC system, it's July in South Louisiana, and it is not keeping up with this house. It is hot, right? So when an inspector goes through the house, he's going to check on that system. Is it providing enough cold air? Is that system providing enough cold air to keep up in the heat of the summer, right? So all of those things you'll know in advance. Have an inspection done 100% of the time. Now, your inspector, you need to tell him that you also want included in the inspection what's called a WDIR, which means he will hire an termite inspection company to come in and look for any signs of wood-destroying insects. And so the WDIR stands for a wood-destroying insect report. And so there may be powder post beetles that are eating the wood in your house. There may be termites eating the wood in your house. There may be ants. There may be an ant issue. So you want your inspection to include a WDIR, a wood-destroying insect report, as part of your inspection. If you're buying a house on piers, you absolutely want to ask the inspector, are you going to crawl underneath the entirety of the house? And is your termite company going to crawl under the entirety of the house? Because if that house is on piers, you want it crawled under 2 times for 2 different reasons. For foundation and for any kind of insects. Okay, so keep that in mind. If your inspector says to you, I don't normally crawl under houses, you want another inspector. You don't want an inspector that don't crawl under the house, okay? All right, let's talk about appraisals. This is a huge misconception that people have when it comes to appraisals. If you're thinking about listing your house for sale, if you hire me as a realtor to list your house, you absolutely can save the $500, $600, $700, $800 that it's going to cost you to have an appraisal. That appraisal is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. An appraisal of your house is one person's opinion of the value of your house, okay? That's it. That's all it is, and it matters not one single bit. It's not worth the paper it's written on at all. Because when you list your house with a realtor, the realtor is going to pull comps that they feel like support the price. Let's say you feel like your house is worth $500,000. You're going to say to me, I feel like my house can sell for $500,000, okay? And so what am I going to do? I'm going to go look at all the comps as far out as I houses that support that price. If I can't find houses to support that price, then we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to say, listen, you think your house is worth $500,000? All of the comps that I have found that have sold within the last 6 to 12 months support a price of $465. How do you feel about that? And we're going to have a conversation about it. And you and I are going to decide what is the sale price, okay? You as the seller ultimately have the final say. So if you say to me, Darla, I'm sorry you couldn't find comps to support $500,000, that's still what I want to list it for, I'm going to tell you, listen, okay? I don't agree. I feel like it's too high. It's probably going to sit on the market for a long time, and we're going to have to end up lowering the price anyway, but it is absolutely your right, all right? An appraisal will have to be obtained by the buyer. So once your house goes into contract, let's say we list it for $500, you get an offer for $485. The bank of the buyer will then send out an appraiser who will then pull all the comps that they can to find to support that price of $485, and they will appraise it. And so they'll have the purchase agreement, they'll know the price you agreed on, and they will be working their asses off to get it to that price. So let's just say you had it listed for $500, it's under contract for $485, the appraisal comes back at $475. You have a couple of options. You can say, okay, I agree with the appraisal. I feel like they did a good job. I look at the comps. If $475 is fair, you lower the price to $475. The buyers are moving on. We're going to the closing table. Let's say the sale price is $485. The appraisal comes back at $475, and you say, no, I'm not lowering the price. The buyer can then cancel the contract, no questions asked, and go find them another house. That is their right. And you do not get to keep their deposit. They get their deposit back, okay? Another option is, let's say it's under contract for $485. The appraisal comes back at $475. The buyers can say, okay, I agree. I don't agree with the appraisal. I still feel like it's worth $485. They can come up with $10,000 and they can still buy the house. So there's so many different scenarios. But if you're thinking about selling your house, save your money. You do not need an appraisal. Give me a call. Tell me how much you feel like your house is worth, how much you want to get on it. And listen, if you have no idea, you just want to sell your house because you have to move for whatever the reason is, and you have no idea how much it's worth, then I'm going to pull the comps in the surrounding areas. We're going to come up with a price. If you agree with it, we're moving forward. Simple as that, okay? So remember, an inspection is not mandatory. The bank will not require an inspection at all. But it is something that I say 100% of the time, you as the buyer, have the house inspected. Number two, if you're buying a house and you're getting a loan, the bank will require you to have an appraisal. That's how the appraisal comes about. Now, if you're buying a house and you're paying cash, you don't have to have an appraisal. You actually can buy a house and sell a house to a cash buyer and that house never get appraised, ever. It doesn't need to be, it's irrelevant, it's not worth the paper it's printed on, you don't need to do it. If your house is listed for $300,000 and a buyer comes along and offers you $280 cash and you take it and he says, I don't want an appraisal, it'll never get appraised. It doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be appraised. All right, so listen, that's the difference between inspections and appraisals. Y'all have a great day. Remember, there are no stupid questions. If you have a question on buying or selling or either the case, message me, call me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I'm on my way to an inspection right now that I have a feeling is going to be probably pretty close to perfect. This buyer chose a great house. I'm so excited for her. I have a feeling we'll be closing in a few short weeks. I'm so excited. I love working with buyers. I love working with sellers. Just remember, there are never enough houses on the market for buyers. So if you're thinking about selling, it's an amazing time to be a seller. Y'all take care.